So students, now we will discuss regarding in this today's class we will discuss regarding the what are the advantages of bureaucratic. Okay, we have discussed regarding the what is the bureaucratic and what is the Weber's administration and the key features. Okay, the key features of bureaucratic administration we have discussed. What are those key features? There are 6 key features. They are first is greater emphasis on the compliance of standard rules, and the second is systematic division of work, and third is follows the principles of hierarchy, and the fourth is knowledge and training in the application of rules, as well as the other one is the maintaining records. Okay, maintaining of records. What are those? Maintaining of records and administrative acts and decisions and rules, and the sixth one is rational personal administration. And now what are the advantages of bureaucratic? Okay, what are the advantages? Advantages of bureaucratic. Okay, so what we are going to learn is what are the advantages of bureaucratic. Okay, so what is the advantages of bureaucratic is first is specialization. Second is rationality. The other one is predictability. The other one is democracy. Okay, the other one is democracy. Okay, then you have some of the disadvantages. Okay, you have disadvantages also, in that it is over conformity of rules. Over conformity of rules. Then buck passing. Then categorization of queries. Displacement of goals. Okay, displacement of goals, and no real right of appeal. No real right of appeal. Then you have neglect informal groups. Okay, so here rigid structure also you have. Rigid rigid structure. Okay, so you have some disadvantages and advantages of, okay, on the left side you have advantages and the right side you have the disadvantages of what? Disadvantages of bureaucratic. Okay, bureaucratic. Okay, disadvantages and advantages of bureaucratic. So let us discuss actually what is the advantages of this bureaucratic. So basically the specialization first is what? There are the some advantages of Weber's theory of bureaucratic administration, which are like specialization. So what is the advantages of this bureaucratic administration? It is specialization. So basically bureaucracy forms the basis for dividing the work of the organization into various functional departments. So the work has been divided in this bureaucracy, means the work has been divided, okay, the work has been divided into various functions in the company into different departments. Okay, so this helps the people to specialize in their respective fields, thereby discharging to effective performance. So when the people are being divided into according to their groups and according to their respective field, in which field they are specialized, if they are being given, if they are being allocated, or if they are being given the job in that respective field, then this means that this helps the people to specialize in their respective fields, thereby discharging to effective performances. Okay, so the specialization, okay, the specialization means the bureaucracy forms the basis for dividing work of the organization into various functional departments. So this helps the people to specialize in their respective fields, thereby discharging to effective performance. So the second one is rationality. Okay, what is this rationality? How it is an advantage to the, how it is an advantage? It is like bureaucracy develops rationality in an organization wherein judgments are made based on objectives and agreed criteria. Okay, so bureaucracy develops rationality in an organization wherein judgments are made based on objectives and agreed criteria. So in order to offer form or substance to an organization, bureaucracy formulates the duties, responsibilities and reporting relationships in a command hierarchy. So the local designing of activities helps in the implementation of assigned tasks in an organized manner. So this bureaucracy, it develops what? It develops rationality in an organization. Okay, bureaucracy develops what? Rationality in an organization wherein judgments are made based on objectives and agreed criteria. So what happens, in order to offer form or substance to an organization, the bureaucracy, what it does, it formulates the duties and it formulates the responsibilities and reporting relationship in a command hierarchy. So this is how it is an advantage. It is a very good advantage for this bureaucratic system. And the third one is predictability. What is this predictability means? It is the predictability and the stability of an organization are what? It is mainly dependent on the rules and regulations and training and specialization and the structure and the other components of bureaucracy. Okay, so the predictability and stability of an organization are mainly dependent on the rules and regulations and training specialization. And so, for instance, the bureaucracy develops high confidence among the new students and for predicting the existence of his university even in future. Okay, even in future. So the predictability and stability of an organization are what? They are mainly dependent on the rules and regulations and training and specialization. So the fourth one is democracy. How it is an advantage to the bureaucracy. How it is an advantage to the bureaucracy? It is in bureaucratic organizations, the decisions are usually made based on predetermined criteria. Okay, so in bureaucratic organizations, what happens? The decisions are usually, how the decisions are being made, they are made based on predetermined criteria. That means before itself they are being determined. Okay, before itself they are being determined. So it is through the, what it is done, democracy, it is done through the rules and regulations which are consistent behavior could be developed within the organization. So consistent behavior could be developed in the organization. So as per the time, the priority is given to the activities where people are appointed on a merit basis. So bureaucracy does not consider patronage or favorism or other basis. So what happens, the as per the time, the schedule and priority is given to the activities where people are appointed on merit basis. So this is a very good advantages for this bureaucracy: specialization, rationality, predictability and democracy. And there are some contributions and limitations of this bureaucracy. Okay, there are some contributions and limitations of bureaucracy, like in an organization. Okay, in an organization, if a single person is unable to meet all the functions of a management, then what happens? The bureaucracy becomes the logical extension of the management. So if the single person in an organization, if he is not able to meet all the functions of the management, then this bureaucracy, it becomes the main management. So the bureaucratic type of management plays a vital role in the development of a modern and large scale organizations, and demanding the functionally specialized staff for the purpose of trained and for controlling the people and belonging to heterogeneous backgrounds. So it also helps in delegating specific responsibilities and functions to them. So there are some limitations, there are some disadvantages also for this bureaucracy. So what are these disadvantages and what are these limitations like? First is what it is? It is rigid structure. Okay, so in this bureaucratic structure, it becomes rigid due to what? Precise description of rules and over formality of rules and everything. In bureaucracy, it is a systematic approach. So there will be so many rules and regulations. So it is a rigid structure it is having. It is a disadvantage, like bureaucratic structure becomes rigid due to precise description of rules and over formality of rules. So such type of structure may be suitable in case of stable environments, but it may not remain functional in the changing environment. So the bureaucratic system, it is more what? It is more systematic, and it is more what? It is more like systematic and rules and regulations. So it is very much complicated, and it is very much processing, and it is very much time taking. So it is present in present scenario, organizations, they must have flexible structures so that they can easily interact with their environment while collecting what? Processing and monitoring the information. For they need to collect the companies. Okay, in present scenario, the organization should have the flexible structure so that they can easily interact with the environment while collecting and processing and monitoring the information. And it also helps in modifying the job descriptions as per the requirements of a specific departments. So in specific departments, this structure, okay, it also describes it also modifies and it also helps in modifying the job structures as per the requirements of a specific departments. Okay, specific departments. And the second one is what it is, over conformity of rules. Okay, over conformity of rules. So what is this over conformity to rules is, the first is over conformity to rules. So in a bureaucratic organization, employees follow what they follow, the employees follow stick to the rule. Okay, employees what they follow the stick to the rule policy. In a bureaucratic organization, they follow a what, they follow a bureaucratic organization, and employees follow stick to the rule. So the policy, okay, so the policy, as they assume that a penalty will be charged for violating the rules. Okay, so there will be so many rules and regulations in the bureaucratic systematic approach in the management. Then there will be so many rules and regulations. So what happens if they are breaking the rule, they need to have the they need to pay the penalty. So they only comply with the word of law. So rather than understanding the true meaning behind such words, so they only comply with the word of law. Okay, they comply with the word of law, so rather than understanding the true meaning behind such words. So what is this buck passing? Third one, buck passing, that means in a bureaucratic organization, the initiative of people is restrained because in the absence of rules and employees, so either postpone their decisions or they shift them to others. So what happens? So what happens? It leads to a delay in office work functioning of these groups. So it is like they are not able to function the office work properly because in the bureaucratic organization, the initiative of people is restrained. The people are being initiative. They are the rules, they stop the employees not to work more and not to mingle in other things. So the absence of rules and the employees, either they postpone their decisions or they shift to others. So it leads to a delay in office work and functioning of these groups. So what happens? The informal groups which performs most of the organizational work they are often neglected by the bureaucratic organizations. And the third one is and the fourth one is what? And the fourth one, categorization of queries. What is this categorization of queries? It means in a bureaucratic organization, the possible queries, okay, the possible queries which may come from outside. Okay, possible queries means if they are coming from outside, if any questionnaire is coming from outside, okay, they have been categorized in advance. So managers need to be prepared with the answers for such questions. So if any variation exists between the questions with a category, then they must be neglected. So when a question is received, the job of the employee is to identify its category by marking it against the category to which it is applied, because when any questionnaire is coming from outside in the company, the managers or the employees, they need to be ready to solve the questions and they should be answerable to answer the questions. So it is very much difficult. So in this, it is a one kind of disadvantages. So the categorization of queries are very much important. The questions they need to categorize, okay, they need to categorize according to the questionnaire, and they need to identify the questionnaire and they need to category by marking it against the category to which it is applied. And the fourth one is displacement of goals. What is this displacement of goals? Or how it is been displacement of goals? How the goals are being displaced means in a bureaucratic organization, displacement of goals is a common phenomenon. so which usually occurs when legitimate goals are substituted with other goals, so for which previously there were no allocation of resources. So in a bureaucratic organization, okay, in a bureaucratic organization, displacement of goals is a common phenomenon. Okay, displacement of goals is a common phenomenon, so which usually occurs when legitimate goals are substituted with other goals, okay, for which previously there were no allocation of resources. And what is the displacement of what is the no real rights? Other one is no real right of appeal. So how it is the disadvantages? Like in a bureaucratic organizations, what happens, clients are usually, they are dissatisfied always and they don't possess real rights of appeal. So often the views of subordinates are usually neglected by the superiors. So the real right of appeal means, in a bureaucratic organizations there will be clients will be there, okay, clients will be there and they are usually dissatisfied as they don't possess real right of appeal. So often what happens, the views of subordinates are usually neglected by their superiors, okay, usually neglected by their superiors, okay. And the other one is neglect informal groups, okay, neglect informal groups. So being a social creature, okay, being a social creature, man often forms informal groups, okay, being a social creature, man often forms informal group, so which plays a key role in the organization. So many organizations are forming a new disciple and they are known as group dynamics, okay. So neglect informal groups means being a social creature, man often, what happens, man often forms informal groups, so it plays a key role in the organization. So but in the informal groups which performs most of the organizational work are often neglected by the bureaucratic organizations. So these are all these are the advantages and disadvantages of the bureaucratic system. So in a bureaucratic system there are advantages and disadvantages, and that is the topic. And now we will discuss about what is the behavioral theory of management, okay, behavioral theory of management, and as well as the what are the features of system approaches to management, okay, and what are the system theory of management, okay, and contingency theory of management. There are contingency theory of management, and you have distinguish between system approach versus contingency approach and contemporary perspective of a management, okay. Now we will discuss about the system theory of management, okay, system theory of management. System theory of management. So there are, what is system theory of management, and there are some key concepts of Key concept of system approach. Okay, so first is subsystem. Second is synergy. Third is open system. Fourth is closed system. Okay, closed system. Fifth is system boundary. System boundary, and sixth is close. Okay, system boundary and close. So what is this? Basically the system theory of management. It is like the system theory is a set of interrelated, okay, it is a set of interrelated but separate parts. They are working towards a common purpose. So there are separate parts, but in a management there are separate parts, but they are working together. Okay, they are working together. So for a common purpose, they are working together. So the arrangement of these elements must be orderly, and there must be a proper communication and interaction between the elements, and finally the interaction should lead to achieve a common goal. So in an organization there will be so many elements. Okay, there will be so many elements, and there will be so many parts of working towards a common purpose. So there will be so many elements in an organization, and they combine together to fulfill a common purpose. So the arrangement of these elements, okay, so the arrangement must be orderly in an organization. So there must be a proper communication between the communication and interaction between the elements. Okay, communication and interaction between the elements, and finally what happens? Finally that interaction should lead to achieve what? A common goal. So what are those? Like there should be key concepts like to those approaches. So the first one is subsystem. So the subsystems are those parts what which make up the whole system. Okay, the subsystem is what? The parts of system which make the whole, which makes the whole system. Okay, which makes the whole system. So the subsystem is what? It is a subsystems are those parts which make up the whole system. So each system is term may be a subsystem of a still larger system. Okay, so a department is a subsystem of a factory. Okay, there will be a department, and it is what? It is a subsystem. It is a subsystem of a factory. So which is a subsystem of a company, and which is a subsystem of a industry. So which is a subsystem of a national economy, and which is a subsystem of a world economic system. So subsystems are those parts which make up the whole system. To form a whole system there will be subsystems. Okay, subsystems will be there to make a whole system. So the second one is synergy. So what is this synergy? It is synergy is the situation in which the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And in organizational terms, what happens? Synergy means that departments that interact or cooperatively are more productive than they would be if they operated in the isolation. And the synergy is the situation. Second one, synergy is the situation in which the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And in organization terms, synergy means that departments, okay, synergy means departments that interact, okay, that interact cooperatively, okay, that interact cooperatively are more productive and then they would be if they operate in isolation, if they operate in the isolation, okay, if they operate in the isolation. And I will show you the structure. Like there will be okay, transformation, external environment. Here it will be feedback, input, human capital, materials. Okay, and the external environment, okay, and the output is products, and services, and they will be getting the feedback, okay, they will be getting the feedback. So this is the flows and feedback in the open system. This is the flow and feedback in the open system. Okay, this is the flow and feedback in the open system. So in an organization, external environment will be there and the input, human capital, materials will be there and products and services will be there. This will be the output. Okay, this will be the output. Input is what? Human capital, materials. Materials means what are used for the production. Materials, capital means money. Human means humans, if they are doing this, everything in external environment will be there. Okay, external environment, external means outside environment also affects, and automatically the output means products and services. Okay, products and services, they need to give the products and services to the what the company want to give. So all these what they are in transformation, and a proper feedback will be there. So everything happens in the organization. Okay, everything happens in the organization. So what is this? What is the how it is been done? Like the open system. Okay, it is a system that interacts with its environment. Okay, it is a system which interacts with its environment, and all organizations, they interact with their environment. So the all the organizations, the external environment, what I have written, all the organizations, they deal with their environment, and but the extent to which they do so varies. So it is a system that interacts with its environment. Okay, and all organizations, they interact with their environment. So in a closed system, what happens? It is a system that does not interact with its environment. So there should be a system in a management, there should be a system in the organization, that it should interact with the internal factors in the company as well as in the organization, and they should deal with those environment factors. So you can get a question like, explain in detail system approach to management. So there should be a proper system to approach in the management, and it is the boundary that separates each system from its environment, and it is rigid in a closed system while it is flexible in a open system. So there are some features of system approach to management. Okay, so that is not that much important. Okay, so we will discuss about the next topic. It is the okay, what is the contingency theory? Okay, contingency theory, that is also not that much important, very small topic. Okay, so we will switch to the other topic. It is the distinguish between system approach versus contingency approach. Okay, system approach and contingency approach. Difference between system approach and contingency. Okay, contingency approach. Okay, so first is emphasis, second is focus, third is situation, fourth is environment, fifth is model, sixth is classical. Okay, sixth is classical. So sixth is what? Classical. So we will discuss in the coming classes about this in the next video regarding the difference between the system approach and contingency approach.